Good evening. The time is 8 p.m. Weather conditions: cloudy, temperature 33 degrees.
CQ. Welcome to the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club's weekly 2-meter net. This is Gene, KE8KWF, your net control station for this evening's net. This net meets every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. local time on the FCARC's 146.76 repeater. The repeater has a negative offset and a PL tone of 100 Hz and uses the 145.330 repeater as a backup. The purpose of this net is to promote good fellowship among amateur radio operators, encourage the use of good operating procedures, improve communication skills, and to share technical information and comments with the group. Tonight's net consists of the following parts. Part 1 is check-ins, beginning with portable, mobile, and short-time stations, followed by all other stations. All hams are encouraged to check in by calling net control and then unkeying to be sure you are not doubling with another station. Then, slowly and clearly, give net control your call sign, name, and the city you are in. Please indicate when checking in if you have any traffic for the net, such as club announcements, meetings, or messages. Part 2 is second goes. It is during this time you can ask technical questions, pass any traffic, including equipment reviews, list radio equipment for swap or sale, or any other information to share with the group. This is an informal but controlled net, and all traffic should come through net control. Emergency traffic will have priority use at all times throughout the net. Simply announce emergency and all stations will yield the frequency. If there is any emergency traffic, please go now. Hearing no emergency traffic, I will continue with the formatted portion of the net. This is KE8KWF, your net control station for the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club's weekly 2-meter net. I will now stand by for check-ins on portable, mobile, or short-time stations. Please call net control.
Net control. Net control, here is November 9, Sierra, Echo, Alpha, Mobile in Winnie County. No traffic in and out this evening.
Control. Tango, Fred and Nina.
All right, I'll acknowledge our 2 check-ins so far. We have Lauren out. He's mobile in Winnicott tonight, N9SEA. And then we have Fred and Nina. Fred, could you do me a favor? Pass your call sign to me one more time. Your front end of that call got chopped off tonight.
November 9, Fox Tango, N9FG.
All right, Fred, thank you very much. I should know that by now, but the brain is dead at the end of the day. I appreciate that. Are there any other short-time mobile stations that would like to check in? Test control. Test control, this is Kilo Delta 9, Whiskey November Juliet, Bob and Nina, no traffic. All right, the net also recognizes KD9WNJ, Bob and Nina. Are there any other short-time or mobile stations that would like to check in? This is KE8KWF. All right, this is your net control station, KE8KWF, for the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club's weekly 2-meter net. Now standing by for check-ins from all stations. Please call net control.
Net control, this is November 9, Papa Alpha Radio.
Control. This is Whiskey 1, Golf, Charlie, Sierra, Greg in Grand Chute. No traffic. Net control. Net control, this is Kilo 6, Romeo Oscar Delta. Brown Rod in Greenville. 9.
Control. Control, this is Whiskey India 4, Whiskey Delta, Joel in Darboy. No traffic.
Net control. Net control, this is Kilo Charlie 9, Tango Foxtrot Mike, John and Oshkosh, no traffic. Net control. Net control, this is Kilo Delta 9, Romeo Papa Whiskey, Rudy in Wilshire, no traffic. Net control. Net control, this is November 9, Tango, November Whiskey, M9PMW, Bill in Kimberly.
Net control, this is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Lima Papa. KC9, Victor Lima Papa, right here in Appleton.
Net control. This is Kilo Bravo 9, Yankee Uniform Charlie, Scott in Appleton, no traffic. Net control. Kilo Delta 9, Romeo Mike Zulu, Carl, Hawaii-Wiga, no traffic. Net control. Net control, Whiskey India 9, Mike in Appleton with no traffic.
All right, this is KE8KWF, net control for the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club weekly 2-meter net. I want to do some acknowledgement of the check-in so far, but before I do, I want to verify. I thought I heard W5PZO Marlin, tail end of getting doubled on. Marlin, if you are out there, could you verify that you were checking in?
Yes, this is 75 PZO, Marlin and Nina, and I was trying to check in.
All right, great, Marlon. I got you on the list. Let me run down who we have so far tonight. So we have N9PAR Nicholas from Green Bay, W1GCS Greg, K6ROD Rod with his new call sign tonight, WI4WD Joel, KC9TFM John, KD9 RPW Rudy, W5PZO Marlon, and I know I got you out of order there, Marlon. Sorry about that. That was when I could get it typed in. N9TNW Bill, KC9VLP Roy, KB9YUC Scott, KD9RMZ Carl, and WI9 Mike, and Appleton with no traffic tonight. So did I miss anyone so far, or is there anyone else who wants to check in on the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club Weekly 2-meter net?
Control, this is November 9, Fox Tango, Fred and Nina.
Roger, Fred, I got you up there in the short time mobile group as well. Thanks for verifying that with me. I appreciate it. Is there any other stations before we go back up to the list?
Net control. This is KD9QOU in Grand Chute. Daniel.
All right, the net recognizes Daniel, KD9QOU. Welcome, sir, to the net. Are there any others before I continue on with the formatted portion of this evening? All right, hearing no more check-ins at this time, we'll move on to our second goes. During this time, you may ask technical questions, list radio items for sale or wanted. Please no haggling on the air. Do any equipment reviews or discuss other topics. This evening, I do have a question for the group if anyone wants to answer it. We had President's Day this week. Historically, we originally celebrated George Washington's birthday, and then later we added Abe Lincoln's birthday onto it, and then eventually it was celebrating all presidents, and we include Susan B. Anthony into this as well. So it's a pretty powerful special holiday for celebrating famous people. So, which leads me to my question tonight. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why? So tonight, I think I'd like to pick the brain of Nelson Mandela and Ronald Reagan, because those two are some the most famous folks that I'm aware of, at least in my generation, who have had a lot of positive things to say, and there's not a lot of folks who talk bad about them for what they've done. Just interested coming from both sides of their lives and the impact that they've made on lots of people. So that would be my thought for who I'd want to have dinner with. And I'd also like to have dinner with Mike, WI9 Mike sometime, maybe Saturday at our annual dinner that we'll have at holidays. I'm sure we'll talk about that too. So with that, we'll go back to the top of our list with our short time and mobile stations. We'll start off with Lauren, mobile in Winnicott tonight, N9SCA. Go ahead, Lauren.
Hey, good evening, Gene. Everybody else on this. This is Lauren, N9SCA, now mobile in Auburn. As far as the question goes, I would have to think on that a little bit. There are so many famous people out there that'd be interesting to sit down and talk to. It's hard to pick just one. Other than that, just been enjoying the absolutely beautiful weather. So uncommon for this time of year, but definitely enjoying the mild. It's one of the most mild winters that I can ever remember. So that's all I have. So everybody have a good rest of the week and a good weekend coming up, and I'll turn it back to net control. N9SCA.
All right, thank you, Lauren, for checking in tonight. We'll go down to Fred, N9FT, and Nina. Go ahead, Fred.
This is November 9, Fox Tango. I think The person I would like to talk to is Abraham Lincoln. He fascinates me very much, and it would be very interesting to have a conversation with him about the Civil War. Back to net control.
Fred, I agree with you on that. There's leadership books written about Abraham Lincoln's leadership. I've read when I was in the military, and I think I would love to sit in on your conversation too. So we'll go on to Bob, KD9, Whiskey November Juliet. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, good evening, and thank you for hosting the net. I was going to do Abraham Lincoln as well because I did a report on him back in 6th grade, which was a very long time ago, but a very interesting person, and love to learn more about him, and it was great to sit down and have a chat with him. Back to net, KD9 WNJ.
Awesome, thanks for that input. All right, we're going to go up to N9PAR. That's Nicholas up in Green Bay. Go ahead, Nicholas.
9PAR in the group. I think I'd have to do Lincoln too. Good old honest Abe. Like you said, he's leadership and stuff, so. Yeah, I also have a sale item. I've got a Yaesu FT5DR. It's got the GPS built in and all that good stuff. I just don't like it, so I'm looking to get rid of that. I don't know if you want my phone number, but I can give my phone number, or you can get a hold of me. I'm good on QRZ.
All right, so that's your Yaesu FT5DR, and you can get a hold of Nicholas on QRZ, November 9, Papa Alpha Romeo. Is all that good, Nicholas?
That's correct. You can just call me Nick. I only get called Nicholas when I get pulled over by the cops.
Okay, well, I can verify that in QRZ, that's how I saw you, so I used it tonight, and you're good. All right, very good. Well, let's go on down to Greg, W1GCS. Go ahead, Greg.
This is W1GCS. Thanks for hosting tonight, and Gene, and thanks. Good evening to everyone listening out there. Boy, Lincoln came first to mind too, but basically, I think it just came up. There was a report in the news recently about all the presidents ranked from, and they have different rankings. Maybe they were awarded points, and I was saying that Lincoln, Washington, and I think it was Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, were like had a 90-point rating out of 100. Everybody else, and then dropped off after that. Anyway, just interesting side note. Look it up for yourself. So this other Lincoln came to mind, yeah. But Jefferson is a fascinating individual too. I mean, man, what a renaissance man. He has so many varied interests. Now, I don't know if I would have the intellect to keep up with him, but dinner with him, and maybe he would play fiddle, and I could play ukulele, and we could do something that way. It'd be fun. So I'll go with Jefferson. Interesting question. Back to the net. This is W1GCS.
All right, very good. Thanks for that's a great idea as well too. Okay, let's go down to Rod with his new vanity call sign. I love it. K6ROD. Rod out in Greenville. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to take a different road. I would like to have a dinner with Isaac Asimov. He was my favorite author when I was a kid, and just a real intelligent man. So back to net.
Ooh, that's a powerful one, Rod. That's a great call. I'm going to take a pause here for ID. This is KE8KWF, net control for the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club weekly 2-meter net. And also check, are there any other stations that would like to check in for tonight's net? Please call net control.
Net control, this is Whiskey 9 Papa India Oscar.
All right, so we picked up Carol. This is Whiskey 9 PIO up in Wyowega. Didn't hear anybody else after that, so let's keep on going down the list. Let's go up to Joel, WI4WD. Go ahead, Joel.
Doing the net tonight, Gene, and hello to everybody on the net. Carol, I just heard you on Ole Miss Net, so you're doing double duty tonight. I didn't check in, but I happened to hear you. As far as who would I talk to in history, if we open up to anybody, obviously it would be pretty interesting to talk to Jesus Christ. That seems to be like probably the top. Other than that, probably Albert Einstein. The presidents, I don't know. That doesn't excite me as much as someone like Einstein does. So, anyway, back to net.
I'd love to know what Einstein thought when he got his first college rejection letter. There's that famous letter that's out there of where he got rejected, and I want to know that gut feeling when he opened up the mail that day. We'll go down to John, KC9 TFM. Go ahead, John.
Good evening, Gene, and the rest of the folks on the net. This is John, KC9 TFM. Thanks for doing the net tonight, Gene. For famous presidents, well, I guess I would guess Benjamin Franklin. He seemed to lead a pretty colorful life. He allegedly flew a kite in a storm to check on electricity, and he wanted a turkey as the national bird, which somehow seems fitting now. Anyway, KC9 TFM, back to net.
Hi, John. Thanks for checking in tonight. I want to go back to Joel real quick. One more thing about Einstein. While I'm curious about what Einstein thought about his rejection letter, I'd also like to know what happened to the admissions officer who rejected him in the first place and the next university got him. That'd be even more interesting. We'll go down to Rudy in Little Chute, KD9 RPW. Go ahead, Rudy.
Gene, thanks for doing the net tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'll go John. I would go with Ben Franklin, author, inventor, statesman, and that's just part of it. The guy was a superstar in his day. So back to net control, KD9 RPW.
All right, that's 2 votes for him. He's getting popular. All right, we'll go over to Marlon, W5, PZO, and Nina. Go ahead, Marlon.
Good evening, Gene, and thanks for hosting tonight. And good evening to everybody else on the net. I don't know. I would like to try Thomas Edison just because he invented a lot of different things. So I'd give that a try. Back to you. W5 PZO.
All right, Marlon, thanks for checking in tonight. Appreciate it. Down to Bill, N9, Tango November Whiskey in Kimberly. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, M9TNW Bill in Kimberly. I'd like to talk to FDR for one thing, Franklin Roosevelt. He went through some very interesting times with World War and the stock market crash and so forth. I would think he would really have some interesting comments about Pearl Harbor and therefore another thing. It'd be kind of fun to have a lunch with Theodore Roosevelt with a couple belts of whiskey on top of it. He was quite the guy, I guess. And of course, boy, there'd be a lot of guys at my table, I'll tell you that. Ben Franklin, Isaac Asimov, I agree with that one too. But anyway, back to that, M9TNW.
All right, Bill, thank you very much for checking in tonight. We'll go on down to Roy, KC9, Victor Lima Papa in Appleton. Go ahead, Roy.
Good evening to everybody on the net tonight. Thanks for doing the net tonight, Gene. Great job. I'm going to be different. There are a lot of them up here that I would have picked. I'm just going to throw a new name out there because just to put a little extra in there. I'll just say Alexandra Graham Bell. Ben Franklin would be good, and so would some of the other inventors. But because I was working electrical and communications, I'll do Alexander Graham Bell. And I want to turn this back to net control. This is KC9 DLP right here in Appleton.
All right, Roy, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that thought. We're going to move on down to Scott, KB9, Yankee Uniform Charlie. Go ahead, Scott.
Let's see. As far as a person I'd want to talk to, probably really none of the presidents, but I was thinking more of Nikola Tesla. I think that would be I think that'd be really interesting to talk to him for a while. Back to net. This is KB9YAC.
Thank you, Scott. I'm sure that would be a shocking conversation to have with him. We'll go on down to Carl, KD9 RMZ. Go ahead, Carl.
Net control and everyone on the group. This is KD9 RMZ. Well, you know, for the most part, I wouldn't mind talking to all the presidents, but if I got to pick anybody I wanted to, it'd probably be Marconi. One, for what he started, and two, to ask him why he just wasn't using a Yaesu to start with. Other than that, I've got nothing. So KD9 RMZ, back to net.
That's the million-dollar question that history will never solve. But we'll keep investigating it. We'll put Leonard Nimoy on that and make an In Search of episode, maybe, for those who are old enough to know what that is. I'll take a pause here and see if there are any other stations that would like to check into tonight's 2-meter net. This is KE8 KWF, the net control for the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club weekly 2-meter net. If you'd like to check in, go ahead. All right, nothing heard. We're going to turn it over to our fearless leader, WI9, Mike from Appleton. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Gene. Much appreciated. Doing a great job. Good evening to everybody on the net. I'm a little disappointed that Scott beat me to it. Nikola Tesla, right? I'd also, if the opportunity presented itself, Teddy Roosevelt, I go along with him too. Said some really smart and cutting things. Love him for that. But I'm going to close with a curveball. George Washington Carver. I was always fascinated with his fascination with peanuts. And also, he invented he perfected the cotton gin, which is kind of the basis of all electrical testing. And since that's how I earn my living, kind of like to know what made him think about that. So with that, I'll turn it back to net. WI9, Mike.
Well, now we've had two Nikola Teslas. I've got to ask that question. What did Nikola Tesla say after he was being shocked by his Tesla coil? That hurts a lot. So, roll your eyes if you need to. Go ahead. We'll go over to Daniel, KD9, QOU. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thanks for taking the net tonight. I would say there are too many names to name. There are a lot of good people out there would be good to sit down and chat with. And thanks again for taking the net. This is KB9, QOU, back to net.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for checking in with us. Appreciate it. And we're down to Carol, W9PIO. Go ahead, Carol.
Well, I'm not much on all the presidents, and they're all great, but I don't have a favorite of any kind. I think my favorite president has nothing to do with our government. It has more to do with our club. Mike. That's who I'd pick up. Back to net, W9PIO.
All right, Carol got that too, and I guess that's two of us that are going to eat with Mike. And again, if you want to eat with Mike, you too can join Mike for dinner on Saturday night at Holidays for our annual banquet. But I gotta have one more Nicholas Tesla joke out there. What do you call Nicholas Tesla and Thomas Edison's band? AC/DC. Okay, we're going to take one last pause here for anyone else who wants to check into tonight's FCARC Weekly 2-Meter Net. This is KEA KWF, your net control. Go ahead and check in. All right, hearing no more check-ins, and I promise no more bad jokes. Before I close this net, I'd like to encourage your use of the other two repeaters owned and operated by the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club, the 145.330 megahertz and the 443.650 megahertz, both with a PL tone of 100 hertz. If anyone listening is interested in joining the wonderful and exciting world of amateur radio, please go to fcarc.club and use the Contact Us page to leave a message. The FCARC monthly general membership meetings are held on the third Monday of the month at Maplewood Middle School, 1600 Midway Road in Menasha. The meeting starts at 7 p.m. local time in the community room, door 17. Look for the vehicles with antennas. The talk-in frequency is this repeater, the 146.760. For the latest information and updates on the Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club, visit our website at www.fcarc.club. I'd like to thank all of the stations tonight that checked in. That would be all 18 of them. We ask that you please return to the net next week. Same time, same frequency, but a different net control operator. This has been a Fox Cities Amateur Radio Club production. I'll now end this net and return the repeater back to a normal amateur radio use. 7-3s to everyone, and have a great week from KEA KWF.
I'm a little surprised no one mentioned Marilyn Monroe. Now that would be a dinner to remember. K6ROD.
I can picture her singing Happy Birthday, Mr. President, to Abe Lincoln and Washington. What do you think of that, Rod?
That sounds great to me. I wouldn't care if she couldn't sing a note.
Bada boom, Rod. That's the way we'll end the evening. KEA KWF. That one might be a little too soon. I don't know.